for that presidential election that Abraham Lincoln won.
And Hibernian, of course, is Masonic.
Hibernian, so the Scottish Masonic, today it's more of the Scottish Giving Society, is what they sort of, that's their outward appearance. Now what goes on inside, I have no clue what's on.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Weird.
one of those things.
Weird rituals and things.
What's that?
Weird
Yep,
rituals.
Exactly. They usually spend about 8 to 9 months out of every single year recuperating from St. Patrick's Day.
Oh.
That's something.
But no, yeah, so they were literally there arguing all night long just prior to that election in 1860. If you're on the left-hand side, if you look straight through that gate, that's a life-size statue of President George Washington. You'll get a better view of it from the side as we make this left-hand turn. But Washington Square Park, commemorating the visit, President George Washington, May 1st through May 8th, 1791, actually spent a week here in the city of Charleston. He spent his week over on Church Street. We'll cross over Church Street and I'll point down the street, spending the weekend or the week with Thomas Hayward Jr., signer of the Declaration of Independence. Okay, so spent that week there. On May 6, 1791, he even worshipped here in this church building. Okay, St. Michael's Episcopal. Now, if you look up to the top, St. Michael's is actually the oldest church building on the peninsula, built in 1740. So St. Philip's the oldest congregation, formed in 1680. This is the oldest church building, built in 1740. Okay. President George Washington worshipped inside that building, actually sat in pew number 43. If you go inside today, pew number 43 is different from the rest. It's the only one that is the original pew. It's the one that he sat on. Okay. And now you'll see this President George Washington just to the front of that part, and the mock of the Washington Monument just behind him, okay? So the statue of George Washington, a life-size statue more or less, all right? So if you get up next to him, he's a lot smaller than you'd expect him to be.
Yeah.
But the Washington Monument, that mock of it, is actually paying homage to Charleston native architect Robert Mills, who designed the Washington Monument in D.C. Any questions? You've all learned something now, right?
Yeah.
All right, just making sure.
Pretty big there, though.
What's that?
Pretty ironwork there.
So this ironwork actually isn't original to the building. Okay. Now you'll see the building. It looks almost like a cement or a stucco facade. You see how that one has brick on the side? So what they used to do is back in the day, 1800s, brick was a poor man's building material. Let that sink in. You wish you could build out a brick today, right? Okay, so you build out a brick, you cover it in stucco, and you literally carve lines into it to make it look like a stone building. Now, none of these buildings would have had any of this ornate ironwork. This ironwork all added throughout the 1800s and 1900s, not necessarily original to the building. Now, down to the right was where Thomas Hayward lived, is where President George Washington stayed for that week. If you take a look to the left as we cross over Church Street, this is probably the best view of St. Philip's Episcopal. Now, can you see from this angle how it's tilted to the right? It's crooked, okay? Charleston sits on the second most active fault line in the United States. Yeah, now you're rethinking where you came to visit, right? Okay, the Woodstock fault line runs from Woodstock, New York, straight down. You guys remember the earthquake that hit Haiti a few years ago?
Yeah.
Same fault line, okay? Now, just to put it into perspective, they say that the last earthquake to hit San Francisco lasted 30 to 45 seconds. The last one to hit Charleston in 1886 lasted for 2.5 minutes. Okay, so we're going to see a couple bolts, earthquake bolts, that are literally holding buildings together all over the city of Charleston. But first, everybody lean out and take a look up and to the left. See how tall that building is? That is the Charleston City skyscraper. Okay, 8 whole stories all the way up. Now that building, they proposed the plan in the late 1880s. They didn't start until the mid 1890s. They didn't finish it until about 1903. Now inside that building was Charleston's first ever steam-powered elevator. Boiling water to go up 8 stories. Does that sound like something you trust?
Yeah.
Not a chance. Okay. Anybody know what President Taft is most well known for?
What?
Say it. You said it under your breath. No, you didn't say anything? He got stuck in a White House bathtub. He was the fattest president in U.S. history.
Yeah.
Okay. Big man.
Kind of like Mama Cass.
Exactly. He came to the city. Okay, they literally had to put a bigger bathtub in the White House for his presidency. Came to Charleston he rode that elevator up to the top. He's quoted at the top of the building saying, all right, because they were worried that it was going to ruin the skyline of the city. He's quoted at the top saying that if it ruined the skyline, it was worth it for the view. When he got back down the next day, everybody's lined up, nickels in hand, ready to ride that elevator. They said if it'll take the big man up, it'll take anybody up.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Now straight ahead, the old Exchange building, the last building built on U.S. soil with British money. This is where, during the American Revolution, okay, so the Revolutionary War, 1776, the American Revolution, on into the early 1780s. This is where some of the more well-known prisoners were held, just downstairs in what's referred to as the Provost Dungeon today. So the more well-known prisoners, the Middletons, the Draytons, okay, those wealthy plantation-owning families that you hear about today, were held just downstairs. Now on into the early 1800s, this is where pirates were held all throughout the city of Charleston. Captured out in the Charleston harbor and held here. A pirate by the name of Gentleman Pirate Stede Bonnet was held there for about 6 months after being captured in the harbor. Did you guys by chance make it down to the battery?
No.
Okay, if you get the chance to mosey on down to the battery, you're going to see some 150 and 200-year-old live oaks all around the park. The name the battery is because that's where the Confederate gunfire took place during the Civil War from 1861 to 1865. Now there are trees that are lining the Cooper River side. The Cooper River to our straight ahead of us to the east, okay, and the Ashley River meets at the southernmost tip of the peninsula. Those trees, those 200-year-old live oaks, are where they used to hang pirates. They would hang pirates during a time where there was no battery wall. So right now there's a wall built up that the water will never come over unless it's a very heavy storm. There was no battery wall, so at high tide, the people hanging from the trees, they would leave them there for some 3 weeks. At high tide, the bodies were underwater. At low tide, the bodies were exposed again. They would leave them there for 3 weeks at a time sometimes to work as a symbol, okay, for pirates entering into the Charleston harbor not to come any further, because that was a symbol as to what would happen to them. Good boy, friend. All right, buddy.
So he knows the way pretty much?
He has a general idea. So he's got a general idea. I give a little bit of tension on the right-hand side, the left-hand side, more or less to keep him in our lane and avoid hitting Mercedes and things like that.
Yeah.
But you'll notice I never really hit him with the whip. The only time I'll ever use the whip is if he starts to spook. If I press it right there on his backside, that lets him know that I'm still here. Okay, he's got no problem. If we're ever in an intersection and the light turns red, to avoid somebody calling and complaining and me getting a $1,000 ticket, I'll do that. Okay, now one thing you'll notice about me doing that is that I'm not touching him whatsoever. That's because I'm not really trying to make him speed up. That's to fool everybody in the intersection so that they think I'm trying to make him speed up, so that they think I'm trying to get him out of the way. Because the fact of the matter, okay, if you see somebody riding around Charleston or anywhere for that matter, cracking their horse with a whip, the horse doesn't listen to him, okay?
Really?
Now, oh yeah, that just means they don't listen to him, because I could right now, if he heard it in my voice that I wanted him to speed up and I wanted him to pick it up, he would run, okay? He'd run right down the street. That's no problem whatsoever. So you talk to these guys. These guys are very vocal, command oriented. Step it up, whoa, walk. I mean, I'm telling you, if you talk to your horses, they have no problem. So yeah, I just use this as a pointing tool or as a facade if I ever do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm huge on, I talk to the horses. And my boss gets on to me every single time. He says, nobody wants you to talk to the horse. They want to hear about the city. Well, right now, horse is #1 priority. I always say if I give a good tour in the meantime, getting to point A to point B, so be it. But otherwise, you know, I'm trying to make sure that the horse gets back safely, because if he does, so do you guys. You know, that's no problem.